girl, Beautiful Brown Baby Doll. Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out there. And though I am not yet a mother, I am so grateful for everything that mothers do, what they have to sacrifice and what they have to give. The purpose of this video was just to kind of talk a little bit about my mom. In all the years that I've been on YouTube, I've not really had her so integrated into my videos. She's an exceptional woman. I love you, Mama. I think you are amazing. You mean the world to me. And I can't barely say that without getting freaking emotional. So me and my mom was talking, and we were talking about the past. We always tend to reminisce when we together and hanging out, right? So my mom reminds me of when I was younger and I always said nobody wanted to be my friend, right? So Mama, what was your advice on that?
Always tell you, don't worry about nobody else. If they don't want to be your friend, that's okay. Just make your game so good that they want to come over and see what you're doing. And that's all you have to do. And I think that's what has happened.
I think that's what's happened too.
As long as it is clean and wholesome, make it look so good, you be so happy that you would draw others to you. And that's what Christ said, that we have to live this life so that that others can see Christ in our life, that they'll be drawn into him. And that's what we have to do in our game. Make it so good till we draw others into our game.
So y'all see where I get the talking bug from. But seriously, I used to always think, you know, a lot of people always have a hard time thinking that I was not like always the popular person. And it was a time where I always felt hated. And I guess what I'm saying is that's motivation for people that might not feel like you the popular person, or that everybody cares about what you're doing, or that people support you. And even if you're raising a child that you feel is maybe a little more unique and a little more weird than every other kid, because I'm still described as weird, but guess what? You grow up, you learn how to hone in your talents, and you become the most amazing person you possibly can. So that's our word of knowledge.
And I always said I'll be her friend, but I can always be Mama too.
And first off, my mother adopted me when I was 3 months old, so our story already starts off very different from most people. My mother was in her 30s, and she decided that after being divorced and being on her own for a long time, she wanted a child. She didn't know when she would get me, what would happen, and I was kind of like a quick turnover adoption. Back when they didn't really do the whole setup where you had to go to classes and you had to do all that, my mom was a single woman and she wanted a child. Before she was ready, they handed me over to her. Even though I was raised in Berkeley, Missouri, and anybody who knows about Berkeley, it's pretty hood in St. Louis. My mother kept the inside of our home very safe. She made it a safe place. She made it an educational place. She made it a place of learning, a place for me to grow. And she always invested in me. So I did everything from 10 years of being classically trained on piano. I rapped, I sang, I was in the church, I did drill team, I had friends, I spent a lot of time with family. She exposed me to different races, ethnicities, and cultures. And though my mother, at the time that she adopted me, had a high school diploma, she knew that she wanted more from me. Hence the reason I ended up 27 with a PhD, with 3 degrees. Even though she didn't have it, wanted it for me. And even a child who didn't have the same blood as her, I was her child. I cannot ever repay what she paid and what she sacrificed and what she gave. I'm very thankful for all of that. And it wasn't until a little before I got my first degree that she even earned her own. My mother is not only a warrior, she worked hard. I can't remember a time that my mother got tired. Even working 8 to 12 hour shifts a day. I'm not gonna tell y'all how old I was when I first started staying at home, but let me say this. My mama said, don't touch my dough and don't touch my phone unless it's an emergency. Being so young, I learned hard work and hard work ethic. I learned why it was important for me to be the best that I could be and excel at everything that I could. At the age of 14, she stressed that it was important that I started to learn how to work, and I got a worker's permit. At that time, my mother taught me how to pay bills. She taught me how to be responsible for myself. She taught me how to take care of myself, and I think that all that she gave to me, I could never ever repay. Even though we were mother and daughter, it was almost like we were sisters because we were learning so much from each other and we were growing together. And though my mother had 11 siblings, I was the first child that she ever really raised just on her own. From day one, when my mother brought me home, not knowing how she was going to take care of me, she had no diapers, she had no kids' clothes. People basically poured into her and helped with me, and that was a big part of my upbringing as well. People always wanted to be involved and help my mother where they could, which allowed for me to have so many different experiences, so much exposure to different friends and family. And from the beginning, my mother told me that when she held me in my arms at 3 months old, she said to me, "It's you, me, and God, kid." And she has held true to that from day one. And though now she has adopted my little sister as well, I was really raised with my mother until I was about 16 as the only child. She and I really got a lot of one-on-one time in getting to know each other, and I appreciate her, I love her, I adore her. So many of my friends have even expressed to me their interest in adopting and how afraid they are of adopting. And here was this woman who was a single parent mother who did not have a college education, who raised me to be who I am today. And so adoption works. Everybody that is adopted does not have a sad song or story. Even though the beginning of my life was unstable and I was not with my biological parents, you couldn't tell me any different than my mother is not my mother. She was meant to be my mother. And I love her so much. I'm not gonna sit here and cry. Ooh. She has taught me how to be everything that I am today and has always pushed and encouraged me to be the best that I can be. And beyond that, she's pushed me to dream big. And that's why you see all the things, the accolades, the things that I've earned, my mother has stood behind me 100% of the way. My mother taught me from day one that just because I was raised by a single parent mother, just because I lived in a certain place that wasn't as favorable as others, and just because I didn't have the resources that others had, that was not an excuse to not be the best that I could be. I was the master of my fate and I was the captain of my soul, and I was going to be the best at everything that I did, and I take that very seriously. And no matter how far we are from one another at any given point, we are always together. If you're interested in taking on a child that you see as not necessarily being your own, don't think of it that way. You can be an excellent mother to a child that does not have the same blood or bloodborne as you. I'm grateful for God allowing my mother to be a part of my life. And if you're thinking about adoption, continue to really explore it. There's so many children out there in the US that need your support and that need your help. I am happy with the results. I am happy with who I am. I'm happy with who I've become. Happy Mother's Day to all of you all, and I love you and have a great Sunday. Beautiful brown baby doll. Peace.